Tonight's homework lesson is Unit 6, Lesson 6. Let's read our directions. Write an equation for the area of each rectangle. Remember, when I'm looking for area, I'm looking for squares. So I have a rectangle. I have a side length. I have a top length. I'm going to find the area of this small rectangle first. I need a parenthesis. I'm going to take my side length times 3. So this is my adjacent point. So this side length times this side length. Then I'm going to do this one. If this is 6, then this would have to be 6. And then this becomes my new side length. So now I take another parenthesis and I multiply 6 times 7 because I have these adjacent sides. Remember, I multiply the adjacent sides to find my area. So that would equal A. It just says to write an equation. It doesn't tell me that I have to solve it. Let's go on to the next one. Here's my adjacent lines, my parentheses. I'm going to multiply the length of my two adjacent sides. So 5 times 3. I'm going to add to that these two adjacent sides. So if this is 5, this would have to be 5. My parentheses. 5 and 6, so 5 times 6, and that would equal my area. So this 5 times 3 tells me how many squares in this rectangle. 5 times 6 tells me how many squares in this rectangle. And then I add them together. Look at number 3. Find the unknown length, side length, in each diagram. These are my adjacent sides. I'm going to put a point there. So I know this times this equals my area. And I know my area equals 56 squares. So I have 8 times something. I don't know what 8 times something is going to give me my area. Equals 56. You see, I use an N here. I'm not using an A because I'm not finding the area. I already know the area, but I need to find this side length. So then I have a missing factor. I do the opposite operation, which would be 56 divided by 8 equals N. And 56 divided by 8 is 7, so N equals 7. And my unit here is inches. Remember, I'm not finding squares, I just want inches. And then I box my answer. Let's look at number 4. Again, here's my adjacent sides. So I multiply them together to get, I'm doing my perimeter. Perimeter is finding the distance around. Okay. So perimeter equals 66. Well, if this is 22, then this side would have to be 22. So I'd have 22 plus 22. So what would these be? Well, I have to find out how many inches I have left. So 22 plus 22 equals 44. I know altogether it's 66, so I'm going to see how many inches I have left to put on the sides. I have 22 inches. But remember, this side has to be equal to this side. So if I put an 11 here and an 11 there, that would give me equal sides, and if I added them together, it would give me the 22. So I'm going to add these two sides. And that's going to equal my 66. They want to know, what is this side? That's my question mark. So n equals 11 inches. Again, I'm not looking for squares. I'm just looking for inches. The number 5. Now I have to find the perimeter again. Remember, that's my distance around. I know that my opposite sides are equal, so this has to be 18. So I'm going to add up the inches that I've already used, 18 plus 18. If I add that together, I get 1636. I know the whole thing around is 50. So I'm going to take away these two sides, which are 36. I need to regroup. This would be a 4. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. I have to divide these inches that are left evenly for the two sides. So I could put a 7 here and a 7 there. So now I've used up my 50 feet. It asks me, what is the length of that side? So n equals 7 feet. Remember, I'm not finding squares. I'm finding the distance around when I find perimeter. This one I am finding squares in number 6. I have 54 squares in here. This will be my adjacent sides. Remember, I multiply my adjacent sides when I am doing area. So I know one factor is 6. I'm going to multiply it times the missing factor, which I'll represent as n. And I have 54 squares altogether. I'm missing a factor, so I'm going to do the opposite operation. So 54 divided by 6 equals n. If I take 54 and I divide it by 6, that equals 9. So n equals 9 feet, because I'm finding this distance right here. I'm not finding squares, so my answer has to be labeled in feet. So n equals 9 feet. So if I put a 9 up here and I multiply my adjacent sides, 9 times 6 is 54. Okay, Sarah is lining a square. That tells me all sides are equal. Sarah is lining a square tray with 1-inch square tiles. This is not included in my answer or in my equation. That's just telling me that I'm using inches. The side length of the tray is 9 inches. So if this one is 9 inches, this has to be 9 inches, because remember I have a square. This is 9 inches, and this is 9 inches. How many tiles does Sarah need? So she's using 1-inch square tiles. To find out how many square tiles she needs, I need to find squares. This is my adjacent side. I multiply this side by this side. So 9 times 9 equals A. A equals 81 square. And we're working with square inch. Okay, let's look at the last one. Mark is gluing a ribbon around the sides of a picture frame. So I'm going to make a picture frame. what he's doing is he's gluing ribbon around. So this is where he's gluing his ribbon around the picture frame. Well, I'm not finding squares. I'm finding how much ribbon he needs to put around the picture frame. So he gives us the information is 11 inches long and 7 inches wide. So I need to add up all my sides. If opposite sides are equal, so I know this one is 11, the opposite side of this one is equal, so this is going to be 7. So my perimeter equals, I'm going to add them up, 11 plus 11 plus 7 plus 7. I know that 7 plus 7 equals 14. I know 11 plus 11 equals 22. So now if I add, let's see, 22 and 14, I get 636. So my perimeter equals 36. And what am I working with? On the sides of a frame, inches. Again, I'm not finding squares. I'm finding the distance around. And that is the end of tonight's lesson, Unit 6, Lesson